welcome FlipoClock fans. We've got this clock in the studio so you don't have to get one. So you may have seen these online. This is the automatic 24-hour digital timer. It's called Edison. It's by Edison and McGraw Company, Time Products Division. So it's not a very beautiful looking clock. It is a FlipoClock timer. So we're going to take a closer look at it. According to the listing on eBay, this is a never used clock, and that seems to be correct. It's beat up a little bit here and there. You can see the cord is a heater type cord, so it's a very heavy duty cord. It's kind of oily, and I believe this is probably the original tie that was on here. Okay, so we're going to plug this in and take a closer look at it. But before we do that, and talk a little bit about the names you see here, Edison, and then you'll see McGraw-Edison Company, and what's that all about. Max McGraw, he was born in 1883. At the young age of 17, Max McGraw started the McGraw Electric Company in Sioux City, Iowa. The McGraw-Edison Company was created in 1957 through a merger of McGraw Electric and Thomas A. Edison Incorporated, when that company was still being run by Thomas Edison's son, Charles Edison. The Ingram Company was purchased by McGraw-Edison Company in 1967. The Ingram name, at the time very well known for quality American clocks, would eventually end up on modern timekeepers by McGraw-Edison. So that's what we've got going on. This is a clock by McGraw-Edison, and it's an Ingram. But you can see the similarities, the boxiness of the digits. I like this clock, and I like other clocks like it because it is a completely 100% American-made clock. Now, that being said, it's, the fit and finish isn't all that great. And the looks are really not there either. But hey, that's the way it is. So what we're going to do is we're going to plug this in and see how this works. It's making a little noise. So how this works? Well, the time advances here, and it's a weird one. You almost have to pull it out a little bit before it starts working. But it sounds like that motor needs to be oiled. You can also see that the finish is dulled here, and I don't think that's going to wipe off. I tried wiping it off a minute ago, and it didn't seem like it was going to go anywhere. It still has that flat finish, and I don't know what that's all about. So we're going to test this. So I'll plug this lava lamp in, and right now we've got it set to outlet off. Yeah, I don't think anything's ever been plugged in here. It don't like that polarized plug, I don't think. Okay, it's in. So to turn it on manually, that should turn it on, and it does. Now, if we're going to set the time, see, it's 1 p.m. Let's say we want it to go off. We want it to go off at 2 p.m. Turn on at 2 p.m. And it looks like you can only do 2 hours at a time. So you do it like that. You would set the timed outlet. Let's change that. Let's change it to something down the road. Like 4. Timed outlet on. Oh, I think So this is kind of an override. So we want that to only be on. That's kind of complicated. This is a phase switch, it says. So if it's off but you want it on, you can turn it on here. But if you got it timed, okay, so that's it. So let's say 2. So it's on timed outlet. Now you look at that, you think you would turn this, and it says specifically in the instructions you don't turn this. So that should come on at 2 p.m. Boy, it's making a lot of racket. Okay, 2:21. Yeah, that's probably right. You see, it's a little bit off there. So it came on. Now, if it's on, but you really want it off for right now, you can turn it off like that, and then it'll reset itself. Outlet on. It's not really intuitive. So that's it. That's just a little look at this clock. Now, if you want to, we got to get in there and see what the motor's doing. And the downside to that is it's probably never been opened, and I'm not sure how that's going to handle it. Flathead screw here. Alright. So we've got those screws out, and this is all one piece. The only way into this clock is going to be in through the front, and I don't like that, especially on a clock that's... Oh, I was going to use this blade to get in there. And pry. This is the Cinco from CRKT. Didn't need to do that. So those screws just hold this in place. Oh. Yeah, what a mess. Now that's the same as the other clocks, the Ingrams and the Edisons. You can see where it picks up the time here to run the outlet. Some sort of mechanism in here. Some sort of relay right there. It supposedly can handle a lot. It says it can handle 1875 watts. Well, it does look like it's never been used. I hope that warms up a little bit, but I'm not sure what I'm going to use it for. I don't really need something to turn my lava lamp on and off. Alright, here we are in a state of disassembly, and I've learned more about this clock than I wanted to know. The reason I got it apart is because it was making noise. We wanted to see if we could quiet that down. But to get this apart is very difficult. The time set knob is just pressed on. It's just got grooves there, and it is just pressed on. So the best way I found to get it off, and the question is going to be, is it going to seal and seat again? I may have to put some plastic bonder or something on here to get that to actually seat. There it goes. It snapped in. I don't want to do that a whole lot of times, as you can imagine. I might put something on there. I don't know. But there's a spring here on the inside. And so what I had to do is to take my trusty needle nose pliers, and thankfully there's a metal frame here, So I had to put my pliers in there, get it away from the spring, and push it off. So it came off a lot easier than it did the first time. And again, I don't like that because that's going to loosen that up with time. Now, that was one thing, and it was filled with stress. But now the other thing is this timer. So I've learned kind of what that looks like and what's going on. So this, I didn't realize, but this whole thing turns as time advances. I didn't recognize that. I hadn't looked at the clock that much to know that, but the whole thing turns, and then these periods of time that you set somehow get back there to turn the relay on, to turn the power on to your switch. So evidently when this gets back to there's something going on. Now there's a spring inside of there. I don't want to try to break those loose and release that to find out how that looks in there. These weren't made to come apart. We often say that, and they weren't. The other thing is things have gotten a little brittle here. They say it was not used, but I see some browning there of the cord, like it has had some heat on it at some point. I don't know if it has or not. I do know that I'm not going to use it for anything that major. But anyway, I do think that had been used to some degree, or it's just aged. This here, this was a nightmare. So this, you have to get this off the time clock part of the clock. So this gear here is picking up from this wheel what time it is. When we get this reset, the actual time, whatever time it is, it needs to be pointing straight to the back. So it was, when I took it off, it was set at 4 a.m. It's not going to matter now that I know that. I can set it to whatever time, but it needs to be pointing straight to the back. The opposite straight to the front, so the PM. In this case, AM, it should have been 4 a.m. And this had gotten very brittle. And it's, as I was disassembling, which was very difficult, you'll need one of these to reach back in there to undo the screws that screw this part on there. But it was brittle, and I don't remember forcing it, but it just snapped, and it had one of those glassy kind of looks to the fracture. Now I've used super glue, and it started to melt the plastic, and a little bit of that's expected with ABS type stuff, and that actually makes it very powerful bond. I think a good bond, but I've actually learned that this plastic bonder is good stuff. So this JB Weld plastic bonder I used to make some gear teeth for in the past, recent past, for a clock back there, and so I'm going to use this to shore that up on the back side here. That needs to be smooth to go up against this face. So now all that talking just to get to this point with the clock, the reason I took it apart is because I guess I don't have a life and I just needed something to do. But the other reason is that it was making noise. Now what we see is we have the rotor here that's going to spin once we turn the electric on. And if you look, it just looks like dried up grease. And I just hope the gear hasn't disintegrated. I don't like that it's a different color. It's hard to tell if that's just grease or if the gear itself has started to disintegrate. Oh man. Both. I don't know. So what we're going to do is we're going to plug it in and see. So the noise is coming from right here. So we hope that some grease there will quiet that. Or else we've got a gear that's just well. silence. It's just, don't know if that's going to come back. It's completely quiet. Well, that's great. So that's what it was. You can expect, if you get one of these, to have some issues. Now there's other issues, and I hate to say that, but you can see a gear here. It's a green gear, but it's got a crack in it. Hopefully that's the only one. So I'll put a line of this plastic bonder there too to shore that up. I'm going to clean this excess grease off here. But that's great. It's a shame about some of these old clocks and the plastic gears, and there's just not a lot we can do about it. I said it's going the wrong way. Okay, wow, that's good. So now, I'll clean this up. Make sure everything's greased up as good as it can be, as it should be, and then have to get that back together, which is going to be a challenge. I only had this in the Phillips head number 2, and it needs to be a Phillips head number 1. I had to cut down a bit and go in there and use my pliers to turn that, to get that off, because I didn't feel like running to this hardware store. But I am going out today, so hopefully I can find me one in a number 1, so getting it back together is not as hard. I'm not going to try to show that. So there we go. All right, time to get it back together. Well, I didn't have to run to the hardware store after all. I was able to take this Phillips head screwdriver, heat it up with my torch, and get it to the perfect shape and size for the project. It's going to get the job done. I also magnetized the tip to make it work even better. I probably won't use this tool for a year or more after this. Oh well, works good today. Now, after all that work, what is the come away? Perhaps that all the work I did was unnecessary. Now that I know how this clock works, it's possible that all I had to do was reach in here and get some grease on this white gear to silence the motor. It's the large white gear moving towards us. Oh well, maybe this will save someone some grief. It's just sad that I may not have to use my handy-dandy bent number 1 screwdriver again. There it is, the Edison Model 12-026, automatic 24-hour timer by McGraw-Edison Company, Time Products Division. Well, thanks for taking the time.